Hello, everybody. Thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Zach Parrish. I'm the programming librarian here at the Bexley Public Library. Before we get started, just a couple quick housekeeping things. This is a hybrid program, so we're so happy to see all of your faces here at the library. We also have an audience online at home. So when we get to the end of our talk tonight, if you don't mind just raising your hand, I will come around with the mic if you have any questions. That way the online audience can hear what we're talking about in the room. Also, the library closes at 8. That will not affect us, but if you came in through the auditorium doors, those will be open. If anyone does need to use the main entrance, just come find me and I can walk you up because it will be locked when we end tonight. Tonight, we are very happy to have an incredible featured speaker, but we also have a distinguished moderator. Regan Walsh is a Columbus native and the author of the book Heart Boss, a self-help book for women who are carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, their careers, their families, their aging parents, all of the things. She's a motivational speaker and the leader of an executive women's networking group called the Leadership Circle. In her spare time, you can find her baking Sarah Gormley's Martha Stewart Fired Me cookies, and she encourages you to do the same. Our featured speaker tonight, Sarah Gormley, owns a contemporary art gallery, Sarah Gormley Gallery, in Columbus, Ohio, that operates from the belief that original art can be a source of joy for everyone. She opened the gallery in 2019, 25 years after her grandmother gifted Sarah with her first piece of art when she graduated from DePaul University. Sarah's undergraduate degree reinforced an early love for literature and writing with a heavy sprinkling of liberal arts fairy dust that teaches us how to think, analyze, and articulate a clear point of view. The Order of Things just recently was released as a paperback and is Sarah's first book. Please join me in welcoming Regan Walsh and Sarah Gormley.
It's a true story about the cookies. I have made the Martha Stewart Fired Me chocolate chip cookies dozens of times, and I'm slated to make them Thursday night for a house guest. And they are the best cookies I've ever really consumed. So for those of you who haven't read the book, there's a recipe in the back and just follow it. Do not deviate unless you want to double.
Chill the dough.
Yeah, chill the dough for days.
Extra chocolate.
Yeah, all the things.
Slam the
sea
pan.
salt.
Sea salt.
Yeah, the slam of the pan.
Very important.
Anyway, we're not going to talk about that because there's so much beautiful. Sorry?
I wanted you to explain to them that we know each other so that
Sarah and I met at a dinner party at Haley Boning's house, which many of you may know her name. It was a random dinner party where I got to meet Sarah and Camillus, who we will hopefully talk about later. And I have also been fortunate to purchase some beautiful pieces from Sarah's gallery and share martinis up and down High Street. So I feel like we cover most bases as friends.
Yes, so if it feels a little informal at times, that might be why.
Yeah, but we want it.
We'll behave.
Yeah,
yes.
No, we want to be comfortable. Before we talk about your words, I want to talk about, you open with Mary Oliver's words.
Oof.
Don't hesitate. And man, when I listen, I've read the book twice. I listened to it once yesterday and finished it this morning and cried my tears. But talk to me about that. And specifically, joy is not made to be a crumb. Your memoir is about chasing joy.
It is about chasing joy, but I didn't realize it was about chasing joy until I wrote the last chapter. I didn't have a subhead for the book at all, and writing the last chapter, some people have read it, not everybody has, but there's a scene where I'm overcome with emotion, crying and driving, and trying to identify the feeling in my body. And it was joy. And even though I had opened an art gallery in 2019, even in November of 23, when I was ready to write the last chapter of this book, I still didn't quite connect that that was what I was hoping to find in my life. And so that became the subtitle because the title is a little loosey-goosey. And the word joy only appears once in the text, which is in the last chapter. And so, yeah, most people don't know that, but thank you for asking.
I'm so glad I asked. I just felt like I needed to, and that is why.
I was talking about joy all the time at the gallery, enjoy this, enjoy that, but I still wasn't entirely convinced that it was something that I deserved or was worthy of.
And my experience of you is always joy-filled, and some of that I think we do when you're a people pleaser and you're trying to get the gold stars,
yes,
right? Is
yes.
that you're showing up for other people. But what I love about Sarah's memoir, at first I did think it was more of a love letter to your mom, but I think it's a love letter to yourself for becoming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the writing process and trying to figure out through writing about my life how I arrived in a new place emotionally. I'm cringing at the love letter part, but because that feels a little too woo-woo. But I'm really proud of how I navigated myself here, both to Columbus, Ohio,
Yeah.
and to a healthier place with a life that's full of love and art and creativity.
Yeah.
And friendship. So
yeah, and abundant in joy. So for those who haven't read, a little bit of a spoiler is Sarah's mother dies, and she is coming home to help her mom in this next and final phase of life. And you talked about how conversations around death, it's so awkward and also can be beautiful. And you wrote, "I'm coming home to be with you." And then your mom said, "I feel better when you're here." And you talked about how there's knowing. I know my mom is going to die, and then there's knowing. And that was the latter. Can you expand on coming home with that knowing?
Well, I talk about in the book, so the scenario was I was in New York for work stuff. I was living in San Francisco at the time. I grew up an hour east of here and was bound and determined to get the hell out of Ohio. So I had a big career in New York and then San Francisco, and I was in New York for a meeting. I got a call that my mom's cancer has spread throughout her body, and I come home. And I think that she is going to insist that I just get back to San Francisco to my big job and work that out. And when it switched from knowing she was sick to knowing she was really sick was the moment that she agreed. And and she also says, "I can feel it in my bones." Yeah. She knew how sick she was. And only looking back now with perspective, I think she knew in that minute that she was dying that we weren't talking about treatment. Yeah. I think she went through a course of chemo almost for us to experience her trying. But I think she knew she was really sick. She knew in her bones.
You talked about, you wondered if hospice, well, there are a couple things. Number one, an ER doctor gave a diagnosis and said, your mom has cancer on her spine, and you were ticked.
Well, I was like, does this happen? Do they have real doctors at the ER? I was like, what? All I could picture was like Doogie Howser saying to my sister, she has tumors up and down her spine. And I was like, what? And I mean, he was correct, as it turns out, but I just didn't think that was how one received information about cancer.
Yeah. Another thing we have in common is this summer, my mother passed away, and I was on vacation, and I remember getting called and coming home to help her pass. And I'm talking to my brother, Peter, and he is just cursing up a storm because of the ER doctor. And he was in the bargaining phase of death. And my mom's like, get me out of here. They're trying to kill me. And Peter's like, you're damn right they are. Yeah. We're getting you out of here. But I also loved the hospice versus meteorologists. Can you talk about the guessing game? Because I experienced that deep in my bones this summer.
So Mom went through one round of whatever chemo I could do like this. It was like these terrible injections. And That was 2 parts. And it didn't work. Her numbers were terrible. And then the doctor recommends something else, and she decides, I'm not doing that. We're done pretending like this is ever going to get better or I'm going to recover. And so then you're in this very surreal time. And I called, it's palliative care, and I'm like, so are you going to give me some idea of timing? In my head, I was like, meteorologists don't get fired when they're wrong. Like, they don't know. They say it's going to storm and hurricane, and then it's a sunny day. And I was like, are they right? And how big is the range of time? And in fact, they said 4 weeks to 3 months, and it was 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it's not a job I would want. But they were nice.
Yeah. You also, in that same kind of chapter, you talked about the absurd beauty of the process of death, which I agree, like there is absurd beauty in this sorrow. Is there anything you would want to expand how life still goes on and you're in all of these relationships, caring for your mom and building new relationships and surrounded by friends and loved ones, about the beauty?
I don't know. I'm looking at the audience, and given ages and hair color, I think some people here have been through some shit. And it's just like swimming through molasses. Like everything's really sort of slow, and things sort of stop about what's important and what's not. And like, no one ever gets fired when someone they love is dying of cancer, except me.
Except for you.
Except me. But it's, it's, the beauty of it is the things that matter most become very clear.
Yeah.
And the people who matter most show up for you in the most beautiful ways. And sometimes you don't know it until you're going through the awful thing. And God bless our brains and hearts, because you have this capacity for deep sadness and pain and deep gratitude and appreciation. And until you're in it, I don't even know that we know what we're capable of.
Yeah.
I didn't.
The next theme on my card is exactly what you just said. What if the thing you think mattered most isn't the thing at all? I loved that line. And it talked about, there's the order of time versus the order of magnitude, right? And in this quest of trying to order the things and do all the things in order, it sounds like there was a big shift when it came to the magnitude of your mom.
Yes. And I think that line about the order of things over time and the magnitude of certain events, in the book, it's about, the top line story is about coming home to be with my mom, but the underlying story is the emotional journey. And most of my life, I thought what mattered about my life was that I was successful and had these big jobs and blah, blah, blah. And the thing that has mattered the most in my life was deciding to go to therapy.
Yeah.
The moment I emailed therapist David, who I spoke to this morning at 11.
From a parking lot or from where?
From my house on Hamlet Street.
Okay,
So
she used
we
to do it in the parking lot.
Now we Zoom.
Okay.
He's in New York. But, when I sent him an email and said, my friend Elaine recommended that I talk to you, that has brought me to this stage talking to you about a book I wrote about changing my life. That moment.
Yeah. Do you think you could have gotten to that moment earlier in your life?
Well, I almost did with the bad therapist, but that's...
Okay, just real high level on the bad therapist. He said, you're skinny and pretty, what do you have to be sad about?
What could be wrong with you?
And then he called her Rebecca?
Yes.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
And I was like, well, you don't seem to know my name, and...
Yeah.
If I knew what was wrong, I wouldn't be here.
But do you, this is my question. I feel, and some of you are older and some of you are younger, but I feel like you become in your 40s. That's how I'm feeling. Like, and you went through this journey in your 40s, and I feel like there's an awakening of like getting rid of the things that don't matter in that decade. I don't know if you can get there sooner. Can you?
Yes, I think. I didn't, because what prompted me to go to therapy was being in excruciating pain. I didn't think I had any other choice but to get help. And part of the reason I wrote the book, which might be overly optimistic, although I recommended 3 new patients to David, so I've got 3 wins, was to say that if you're suffering or hurting in any way, you can ask for help. And you may not know what that help is. It might be meditation. It might be a life coach named Regan Walsh. It might be a therapist. But to admit that you're hurting and want something to change, especially for overachievers among us, I could have done that earlier if I had framed it like that, rather than I can't get out of bed, there's something wrong, I have to do something. I can't live this way for 40 more years. Yeah. So I think, you know, I'm happy it all played out the way it did, but had I read this book when I was 30, I probably would have started therapy sooner.
I've seen some of your reviews, and there are women aged 30 and women in their 60s that thank you for writing the book. And I think that's powerful. It's more than the 3 or 4.
I know, it is, but it's, I get a little like, you know, I've had several mothers buy the book for their senior and college daughters, who they are afraid are going to go down this overachieving, striving, everything looks great on the outside path, which you know well. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. But.
And we talk about, you know, I have 2 daughters and I'm worried about them for a lot of these reasons. To pivot slightly, you talked about, you know, my job was not my life, but what was my life without my work? There's regular stress like work stress, and then there's the stress of not changing your life when you know it's time to change. And that's when you sent the note to David.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, but I also felt like clueless because society and my family, my mom, you know, kept reinforcing that you've got it all. What, again, like the first therapist, what are you complaining about? Thin, attractive, successful woman with a wonderful family. What are you bitching about? And I couldn't figure out that there was anything that I could, how could I change it? I was doing all the things. Imagine my frustration. Yeah. I kept doing all the things that I thought everybody wanted, and I felt worse about myself every year. So.
And then the thing that you finally did is she learned to take out what I love to call head trash, right? So the loop of negative and false things that we say about ourselves, yes, that you eventually, if you do it long enough, you begin to believe it, but you stop that and you took out the head trash.
And you worked on it.
Yeah. And you named the saboteur of your brain. I forget his name. Scott Kennedy. A redhead who she punched and got kicked out of 2nd grade for a day. Her mom had to come pick her up because she punched Scott Kennedy.
Yes, that's in the book. So there are scenes in the book which are actual therapy scenes, because I still think, even though it's 2025, there's a little bit of stigma for some people about going to therapy. So there are several chapters where it's an actual dialogue between therapist David and me, and how he got me to acknowledge and identify the fact that I was being terrible to myself was for me to name that voice. And he was like, give it a name. And I was like, I don't know the fucking name. What do you mean the voice? Name the voice. And I was like, oh, Scott Kennedy. It was Scott Kennedy from 2nd grade, the bully. And Scott Kennedy has not surfaced. That is his real name. Oh. And he probably had a crush on me, but whatever, it worked. It worked for the exercise.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, there's a scene where Sarah, and it's a little bit of a spicy scene. Sarah goes and buys a mattress on what turned out to be kind of a first date with her now boyfriend. But I'm not going to spoil that scene. What I am going to share is that you have a list of things that you recognized during that moment. And one of the things on that list was, for the first time in my life, I didn't have the energy to be what I thought other people wanted me to be. And I just want to give you a standing O for that, because shouldn't we all be there?
Yes, but
that's the goal,
really
is to do the work. It's so hard.
It's really hard. And nobody wants to talk to the therapist every week. I want to take a nap, but instead I get on the phone and poke around and see what patterns are coming back. The body stuff is hard, and it's ultimately a lot more rewarding and incredibly freeing to just, I don't know, be yourself.
The only person that matters is your own opinion of yourself, right?
Kind of.
And
within reason, yes.
Within reason. I also think that moments of stress and grief make you shed that stuff, right? Who gives a fuck what other people think about? Excuse my language.
That's okay.
To our
it's
online.
It's an adult
I know,
program.
but who knows who's online?
Okay.
There's something about, I think, the grieving process and that stress where everything becomes clear, or at least it did for me, where I'm going to be as direct and kind as possible and get rid of any noise that I'm saying yes to just because I feel like I should to please someone else.
And it gets easier, and people don't care.
No one cares.
No one cares. I was so distraught. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about at dinner parties if I don't have a job that's got a big C in the title. And my friends were like, we're so happy we don't have to hear you bitching about fucking work anymore. Thank you for that. I was like, oh, okay then. They're like, we're good. We don't ever want to hear you talk about work again.
Yeah.
Art, different story. But.
Yeah, which we hopefully will get to. There's also a line that your mom said that I think became kind of like a thread for her final months, and it's too late now. You were driving home. She had just had this major. It
doesn't matter now.
Or it doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter now. And it turned into a moment of levity, which was stressful. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about the levity in an actual shit show?
It's much like you find points of gratitude in these grief-filled, sorrow-filled scenes. Humor saved us time and again, and my mom had a wonderful sense of humor. And we just had a nonverbal way to communicate. I talk about that in the book, what this meant. We had all these things, and the scene was just, again, spoiler alert. She shits her pants on the way home from a diner because she's eaten too much after not eating forever. And she looked over at me. I was driving, and I said, we're almost there. And she just said, doesn't matter now. And you just have to laugh. And for the remaining days of her life, we would be like, doesn't matter now. And God bless her. She did so many things to make her death easier for us. I'm the youngest of three, so it was pretty remarkable.
Yeah. There's another scene where her mom thinks that she's going to pass away that night, and so Sarah stays behind, and her mom doesn't. And so Sarah wakes her up in the morning and says, "Good morning, Mama Sue." Is that correct?
Good morning, sunshine.
Or good morning, sunshine. And your mom was like, "Screw this."
No, Mom looked over and went, "Fuck you." Which I was like, okay, I'm going to go get your Ensure. Do you want vanilla or chocolate?
And I'm sorry you woke up.
I'm sorry.
What Sarah said.
Yeah. If there was someone who could will herself to die, it would have been her. But I had been through it with Dad, and I was like, oh no, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And again, it's not something. It feels like it might seem really crude to be laughing, but we had to find ways to laugh. You have to.
You have to.
It saves you.
And especially if you are a funny family.
Yes.
My family's funny.
Yes.
And every day, to go back to the hospice versus meteorologist and how often they get something right, every day for 13 days, they told me it was my mom's last day for 13 days. And so every morning I'd wake up and then my mom's sister would be like, she's still with us. And then I would go downstairs and I'd say to my family, today's a big day. Because every day I knew it was the day. But then every day
it was never the day.
Days. And then on the day I was like, certainly it's going to be this day. And my daughter Dorothy just said, Mom, you are horrible people. And I was like, Dorothy, we are horribly funny people because you had to laugh. Like you couldn't survive 13 days of every day someone telling you today is the day without laughter.
Right.
And that's what I love. Your story resonates so deeply. Even the third time now that she's passed, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much in what you experienced that my family experienced. Can we talk about the girls?
Yes.
So Sarah has this incredible network of female friendships from DePaul. And you call them...
I also have one from junior high who's here too.
Oh,
junior
good.
high is here too.
Oh, great. And just, from every season of your life, frankly, and they're represented in your book throughout. So I want to talk about friendship with the girls, Lucky, and again, it goes back to knowing versus knowing. And this idea, Sarah, actually, I'm going to go back for a minute. You talk about luck, I think, on the first page, and how you knew that on paper you were lucky. You had this great life and this great job and these great friendships, and you always got A's and luck, but you never felt the gratitude, right? It was always off. But as the book progresses, I think you make room for that true feeling of, gosh, luck and gratitude, right? And there's a moment in the shower when you said all the spaces were filling up with gratitude that hadn't existed before. So can you take us to your mom's bedroom with the girls?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I want to make one shout out. She's not here, but my editor is the one who made me expand that. There's a scene, we didn't know how much time we had, but some of the college girls wanted to visit Mom, and so they booked their flights. And as it turns out, they were there 2 days before she died. And I wrote the scene at first, and it was kind of just a short scene. They climbed in bed with her, chat a little bit. She talks a little bit, And my editor, Christy Tate, to name drop, New York Times bestselling author, she's amazing. Christy, if you're watching, thank you. Christy was like, I'm sorry, what? They crawled into bed with your mom? And I was like, well, yeah. They've loved her and known her since we were freshmen in college. She said, I'm not even sure I would get in bed with my mom. So you need to say more about that. And so the scene became a much larger scene and included more of each of the individual exchanges she had with them and a little bit of flashback. Sorry. And I love that scene. It's a great scene. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, and just bringing it back to luck. Your mother did something pretty profound, I think.
So we're sitting there, and the girls are all sort of on one side of her, and I'm on the edge of the bed next to her. So Mom is here. And all of a sudden, she's getting tired, and I can tell she's just talking to me. So she took her little hand and she touched my nose, and then she touched her nose and said, Lucky. And that was not something, it wasn't a childhood, it wasn't something that we had done ever before. As far as I know, my mom has never reached out and touched my nose. And it was between us, and the girls was pretty emotional. And we go out into the kitchen, and it occurs to me that she's also sending me a message that I have these friends in my life, and she knows that they are also my caregivers. And it was pretty powerful. And to be able to write about it in a way that I tried to be as truthful and accurate to the scene, it still moves me because I think Mom was seeing the beginning of this transformation of my life. She also knew Camillus and adored Camillus and saw us falling in love. And so all of that, it was an important moment.
And again, going from knowing to knowing,
Yes.
like you are so lucky and you're taken care of, and that
Yes.
she's witnessing that in that moment.
Yes.
I can't get over that. That was the first time I got an advance copy of Sarah's book the summer of 2024, and I'm sitting on the beach just ugly crying, and it was the lucky. I just thought that was
a tearjerker.
Yeah,
So,
and you will also laugh. That's the beauty of it. She's such a beautiful writer. Okay, I am sorry to throw Susan Benacasa under the bus here, but I think there's an opportunity to do a better job of reading a room, especially when it comes to somebody who is dying, and her.
But she's not good at that. And somebody who knows her daughter-in-law is here in the room.
Great. And she's first and last name in the book, so I feel like I can ask about her. So my question is, just don't be the person, unless you are this blood relative, and I know that they were close. My personal opinion is you shouldn't stop by when somebody is that close to death. I think you should honor the family and maybe not have to sneak out the back door to go buy pudding for your mom.
Okay,
I think people are very well-meaning during times of crisis.
Well, but she's okay. So we're very close to the end, and so close that the nurse has suggested that I go buy some pudding so we can crush the morphine to try to get the morphine into her body. And I think I used the phrase, the wheels are about to come totally off my wagon. I'm like. And I look out and I see Susan coming up in a little Mercedes, and she has a white fur jacket on. For some reason, the white fur jacket really pissed me off.
It pissed me off.
I was like, what is she doing? And the car got stuck, and I was like, oh, I cannot.
Her car got stuck, and Camillus told her not to park there. There's a lot of things that bug me about this.
Poor Susan. Anyway, so this wonderful nurse, Sonia, it was like a stage set. She was like, just go out the side door. You won't have to talk to her. You go out the side door. And so I go out the side door of the farmhouse, and Susan comes in the front door in her white fur jacket to say goodbye, and I go to town to buy pudding for my dying mother. And It was a lot.
It was a lot.
That's a good scene in the movie.
It's a brilliant, which I can't wait to talk about the movie, because we are going to manifest that today.
The movie.
So after that scene, she sneaks out. She's in the, I think it was it Camillus's truck?
Somebody's truck.
Somebody's
truck. A lot
truck.
of trucks in the farm.
And one person gets out of the car, and a deep sob starts. And so now Sarah is letting go. The wheels have come off, and she's sitting in the back seat of this truck. And one of the things that we all love Camillus for when you read this book is that he just turned around and he was in the driver's seat, and he put his hand on her knee, and he didn't say a word. He just was there in witness to her pain. And that scene, that's when I was on a foam roller this morning in the basement, stretching my back. My husband comes downstairs to say goodbye, and I'm sobbing because I'm listening to Camillus do this gentle act, and he's a giant, strong man. And then you talked about how when you made eye contact, you borrowed some of his strength to get through. And that ended up being the day your mom died.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
After all.
Yes.
A few questions about Camillus to just bring up the mood a little. Does he still, when you don't sleep over at his place, does he still text you first thing every morning? Good morning, Sarah?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Good morning and good night. Although this morning I texted him first, and it said, good morning, Columbus. And he was like, good morning.
Good morning.
No, yes. And we also are name callers. We say each other's names all the time.
I love that. And that's one of the things that you fell in love with him, because he uses your name, Sarah. Yeah. Is he still taking questions?
He takes questions. We had lunch at Moy's Chinese today. He had never been. If you haven't been, it's amazing Chinese up on campus. And he took some questions.
He'll say, yes, I am taking questions. I think that's so darling. Are you still making out in parking lots?
No.
Okay,
I
maybe
mean,
let's bring that back.
No. I'm trying to like kiss him all the time, and he's like, "Oh my God, the public displays of affection," and then I just kiss him anyway.
And then do you still go to dive bars and have Miller Lights and chicken wings?
Yes, on the regular.
Great. I love
Planks, the one on High Street.
Everyone is going to fall in love with Camillus, who hasn't read the book. And he is a babe in person, not just on the page.
I know. It's kind of annoying, but he's really sweet.
He's so lovely. There was another line that you shared that just, I don't know why, it just like knocked the wind out of me when I heard it, that you were trying to nourish your mom. Quite literally, you're trying to get food into her body so that she will be with us longer, while also trying to be nourished by her figuratively, right? Like as her daughter, you're not ready to go. Can you either talk about that or talk about maybe an orphan child in your late 40s and kind of the realization there that nourishment was no longer?
Where are the light questions, my friend? No, the nourishment is, there's something about what you want to receive from the people you love who love you. And the juxtaposition is also how you nourish yourself and which your needs change and your skills change. And I think part of the grief process, at least for me, especially as what I say, the orphan child, I don't care how old you are, it's so disorienting. And so my father passed away the year before my mom, year and a half. And then it's still like, you're still looking around like, well, how do I know what to do? I was 45 years old. I should know what to do. But there's something that, and instead you trust that you have what you need, and also that you can generate what you need in yourself. And that's a part that I had been missing because I was always seeking entirely from external sources. And I learned that I have some capacity to create some things for myself. It is.
Yeah. Your dad once wrote a note to your mom.
Yes.
It said, "Tomorrow will occur." Order aside, because your book is the order of things, what do you hope will unfold during some of your tomorrows?
I mean, seriously.
What? Is that a bad question? I mean, I know what I want. I know some things that I want to unfold for you.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to start? I think that the order of things should be a movie.
Well, I would like that, but I don't know exactly
We're going to make it happen. We're talking about it, and that's how things happen.
Let's see. I would like Katie Couric to send the book to Oprah.
Yeah.
Or Jenna or Reese. Can we manifest that too?
I think we can.
Okay. No, I have a really full, wonderful, not perfect, but interesting life. And if I can continue to sell art and write and eat chicken wings and drink Miller Lights with Camillus, like I'm good. But I have some things stirring around up there. I mean, the gallery hasn't been great, so I might actually have to get a real job, but it won't be one of those big, awful jobs. It'll be something meaningful here and community-oriented. I have an idea, but I'm not going to manifest it aloud because someone's in the role. But, I don't know. I'm excited. I hope that the tomorrows, they're coming, and sometimes the best advice that I give myself is just calm the fuck down and enjoy it. So I'm trying.
Yeah, I think embracing the now.
Are you going to grade that answer? I feel like you didn't
No,
like that
I think
answer.
it's great. I think there's another book out that you're going to birth. Is that fair?
I really don't like it when people say that.
Okay. I think
Writing a book is not like having a child.
You're right.
I have
It's
not had
worse.
a child, but I guarantee you it's not like having
it's for
a child.
sure
So I
worse.
think we should that metaphor.
I think, Am I making this up? I think you already started it.
I did. I've started book number 2, and I am committed to finishing it. And we'll see.
Do you want to give any teasers, or is it too soon?
It sounds a little like gobbledygook, but if this book is about the relationship with my mother and the relationship with myself, the next book is about the relationship with my body. And that's all I'm going to say about that, except it's quirky and weird, and I love it. And I think I'm excited. It's a lot more fun writing that one because, like, I'm not writing about mom dying, for starters. So it's a different tenor. Yeah. Are you going to grade that answer?
No, I think I just remember when you mentioned that you had started it, you had a line that I'm going to botch, but it was something like that. You heal completely when you write about it by writing your story and getting it ready for others. That has been super healing.
Well, the understanding. When I wrote this book to understand what happened to me and what happened in my life. And so I've started the second book, and I'm trying to understand why I've had such a terrible relationship with my body. And I thought, well, if I write about it and I start understanding it, maybe it will alleviate some of the bullshit. And what do you know, 15,000 words in, I already feel better about my body than I ever have in my life. So if we'll see, but it's crazy town, and it's like fun and interesting and weird, but like maybe good. I don't know.
I know it will be good based off of every single word. I think we're a little bit over time, but I want to get questions from the audience. Does anybody have a question for Sarah?
No? Oh, Molly does. Molly knows Susan Benincas's daughter-in-law, who is the narrator of the audiobook.
Please, so I feel so guilty about pulling Susan into this. I'm so sorry,
That's okay.
Susan.
She knows. She said it was okay.
So one of the things that was mentioned in coming to your talk tonight was you're going to talk about why you think Columbus is so cool.
Oh.
So wondering.
I don't know if it's just the age and the timing and the fact that I lived in Chicago and New York and San Francisco, but I love this city so much. Maybe it's because the cliche of Midwestern nice, like sometimes cliches exist for a reason. I mean, where else in the world does a ding-dong decide to open an art gallery and everybody's like, great, do it? Not San Francisco, not New York. In Columbus, people are like, oh yes, and we have a space for you. Why don't you open your pop-up down here? And the other gallerists are so wonderful. Art for Life was this weekend. It's a city that has the level of, how am I going to phrase this? It's such a good, you would think I had thought about the question because I think I wrote that. So it's just the right level of real. The realness makes it cool. I cannot stand pretense. It drives me crazy. I'm not going to pick on New York, but I was just there last week with Camillus for the first time. And I was like, oh, by the way, everyone's very important and on various serious calls. You see people like on a phone on the street and they're like talking about dog food. It's like, I don't know, did you get the right dog food? Honey, we need the dog food. Jake, the $1 Million Terrier, is going to die if we don't have the dog food. And like, just like, but here I mean, that's not a good analogy, but it's just, there's a right, like, people know what matters. How about that? I feel like every conversation I have and people I meet, regardless of their age or what's going on in their lives, there's not a bunch of the posturing. I know that's not true everywhere, but I don't have kids in school. So, but it's, I know things exist. I'm not a total Pollyanna, but it's just a really wonderful place to live, and I've lived here now 7 years.
Who else has a question for Sarah?
Yes.
I am curious about how you presented to your therapist, David, that you were going to start telling all of this story. Like, what was that process like?
Well, how about this for like I'm not really woo-woo, but there are woo-woo things. His first job and his first career was at a publishing house, and he worked on an editing team.
Okay.
And he's written a book. And so he read it all before anybody else. He read certain chapters. I made sure all the scenes with him were accurate, and he changed a couple of things. He's like, go for it. You need to do this. He came to a book event in New York, and everyone cheered for him. I was like, Therapist David is here. So yeah. And I think he has 3 new patients because of me, and he hasn't given me a commission or anything. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just curious because it's like peeling back the curtain of your private time together.
But that's, like I say in the acknowledgments, by the way, if you ever write a book, and everybody should, the acknowledgments is the most fun to write. Therapists should be getting more public praise. I mean, people are posting about their trainers all the time. I'm like, you know who saved my life? David. That guy. It's because I'm praising him doesn't mean he's telling everybody about how fucked up I am. I think, yeah, I don't, and he'll say, no, you saved your own life or all that. But it's he helped me so dramatically. And I really like being able to share that, whether it's, him or the practice publicly.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Oh, I think we have one up here.
Well, there's Lynn. Lynn and I used to work out together.
Yes. Okay, so I'm back on Martha Stewart.
Okay. We're all friends here. What's your question?
I know. I can't imagine what it's like to work from her, but you were working for her when you made the decision to leave the big corporate world?
No. That firing was mid-career.
So talk about what it's like to work for her and then kind of where you were. I'm very curious, sorry. That's just nosy. And kind of where you were when you made the big leap, because leaving the big corporate world, the big bucks, everything you loved.
I know. I miss that money so much.
Yeah.
It was so nice. I worked for Martha for less than a year. I had a very big job. I was the head of marketing and communications for the entire company. And working for her was awful because I was in a thankless, impossible job, and everybody knew it. It's the first time I've ever interviewed for a job, and the general counsel would be like, why do you want to come work for her? People basically begged me to not take the job. My current boss, Rich Gelfond at IMAX, was like, don't do that. I'll help you find another job if and I was like, I'll be fine. Well, she'll like me. I like horses, I'm good.
You got gold stars.
Yeah. And so ultimately it just didn't work. And I don't hate her as the new general counsel, because the one when I was hired left. It was like, Sarah, her name's on the door. We're not going to get enough argument about who's staying and who's going here. You got to go. We're going to need to get you out because you two couldn't work together. And whatever. But she is smart and funny and inquisitive and has more energy than I ever do or would. I mean, she just, and I think the documentary that came out about her, I think it's a pretty accurate, a depiction. I think she's a woman who's got some stuff, but she's infinitely talented. And so it goes, I mean, I reached out to her lifelong publicist, Susan Magrino. They think Samantha in Sex and the City was based on this woman. And I said, Susan, just so you know, I included this cookie recipe. It might get some attention. I got a whole bunch of attention online. But I delete every negative comment about Martha. Anything that pops up on social media, because that's not why I included it. I really included it because I thought if the book sucked, the cookie recipe would be great, and it is. So,
I mean, they are so
they're
good.
so good.
Just to reiterate, buy the book, make the cookies.
And it's also just on my website. If you want to send the recipe to friends, it's right there.
No, to reiterate, buy the book,
buy 10
make the
books.
Yeah.
Also, it's on the website.
What other questions for Sarah? Marcy.
Hi, you mentioned that you are the youngest of 3 siblings, and I was curious if they were fully supportive or if they were uncomfortable sharing family stories and secrets.
So Camilla's, Jane and Joe, Jane is the oldest and Joe than me, they were the ones who got like the real, like the only people that I said, if you want me to change something, I will change it. If you don't want me to use real names, although that would not have worked at all. And they were incredibly supportive. My brother cries more than I do, and he was like, I couldn't get through it. My sister just called glowing, praising, loving, and she said, well, I don't know if we're gonna want everyone in Zanesville knowing that Mom struggled with depression. And I was like, it's okay, we're good. Like, don't worry about that, you know? But, and Camilla's, it's been a great sport. I have my boxes like shipped to his house, and he was the first one to get the final book, and he sat and read it in one sitting. And I called him, and he was like, "Stop calling me, I'm reading." So, and they were wonderful about it. I mean, listen, it's not when you read it. Oh, you did read it, didn't you? Like, it's not. There's nothing that's. It was not intended to reveal, disparage, or blame anyone. It was meant to tell a story, so.
I mean, there was another doctor that we don't have time, but I think we could disparage that doctor.
Okay, I changed his name.
Yeah. I mean, that was wild.
That came up as one of my last book clubs.
Oh, good. It's intense. Do you want to give like a preview?
Yes. So my parents, we were in Zanesville. My mom was concerned about my dad. They came to see a psychiatrist in Columbus. The psychiatrist was like, Joe's fine. Susan, you're depressed. We're going to start treatment and or Prozac. And she was like, I don't want to do talk therapy, but she was afraid of it. And then 2 years later, when I was deep into the throes of anorexia, and she took me to see him, and I convinced him that I was not, in fact, struggling with anorexia, and that I was fine, and I was way too smart to have anorexia because that's who I am. And he was like, oh, okay then. All 108 pounds of me went walking out the door, and I was like, oh.
And then oh, this is that's horrible, but it gets
only
worse.
Because Columbus is Columbus, he reached out to me when I opened the gallery.
Gross.
Okay, well, not gross. I think people and so I went over and had like a glass of wine and bad cheese on his terrace, and I was trying to express to him how much work I had done in therapy, and like that I was probably going to write a book, and
Can I get a thumbs up if you think that's kind of gross that he reached out? Am I out of line here? Thank you. No, thumbs from the back.
Okay, but
Thank you.
but he reached out.
KR.
He forgot that he had even met with me. He reached out to be like, I'm such a fan of your parents. Your parents were such wonderful people. I was like, yeah, I know. And also
Still feels like a violation.
Okay, well, all right.
No matter, that whole chapter just grinds my gears.
Well, I like it.
I
it
know
when you
that
get
he
worked
served
up.
too many cheeses, and now you're having a wine on his patio.
But
it's so bananas.
I get to be me.
I
and
know.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's the best part.
So in this weird conversation with the bad cheese and the wine on the patio, and I was trying to explain to him the benefits of talk therapy for me, and he was like, that's nice. He was like, you're fine. He said, okay, but if you're ever hurting, just reach out to me and I can practically get you some pills. I'm like, I am telling you that the talk therapy is what I needed. And I have no judgment against meds. Trust me. Mom was like, but anyway, it was just a weird conversation.
Yeah, I judge psychiatrists who reach out on Facebook to invite people over for wine.
He's not practicing anymore. You don't have to be
judge
that
him.
mad.
Save
Save your rage.
I know. I'll save my rage for other things. Any final questions? Kelly.
Oh, yes.
If you want to know how any paint colors were named at Martha Stewart, this woman can tell all.
Yeah,
She really can.
I'm also an alum. Big life forces, your mom brought you back to this big life change. Do you think that without those, that big change would have come? And do you think that is always how a big shift in life comes to you to end up back in Columbus and running a gallery. What would that path have looked like if those changes hadn't pulled you back?
That's such a good question. And I've been asked versions of that. And I try to sound relatively intelligent, and sometimes it just sounds like I don't know anything. But I think I was far along enough in therapy. So I was 4 years into therapy by the time I came home to Ohio. 4 or 5, 4, I think. And I think I was ready for change. I think Mom's death was a multiplier. Had I not started therapy yet, or had I only been a year in, there's a different version. I would have come home, I would have been here, and I would have headed back to New York and another big job. You know, without therapy at all, there's a whole version of me that's like living in New York, house in the Hamptons, sleepless nights, flying all over the world, doing all the things. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's not like everyone who has those jobs hates those jobs. It was distracting me from trying to figure out what I wanted, I guess. And so I don't know. I just know it happened the way it happened. The question about big life forces or changes, I think they create opportunities, because all of us know when someone we love dies, especially a friend at certain ages, you take stock in your life. It's just something that happens, right? And then you're like, wait, what? And so I don't know. I think that I'm where I am partially because I was ready and partially because of the timing of Mom's death.
Beautiful. Thank you for writing The
You're
Order
so
of
good at
Things
this.
and for
I'm gonna write
encouraging
another
us
book.
all to chase joy.
All right, I'm going to write another book just so we can
I
do
can't
this again.
wait. Let's do it.
Thank you. I have a few books in the back if anybody wants some. Thank you, Zach.